Hey everyone.
Hello.
So welcome to Tribe Talk Live. Today I have a very special friend and colleague who's joining us today. We're going to have some fun talking about mindset, and we're going to cover many topics around that today. And if we have time and if the conversation leads us into it, we're even going to do something interactive for you guys. Before we get started, just a few little reminders. First of all, again, I want to say I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're hanging out with us today, because we don't have to be isolated, right? We can be together like this. We can, have conversation, and we're always making time to do Q&A at the end because we want to be able to answer any questions that you might have. But before we get started, if you're not already on mute, go ahead and mute yourself so that if your dog starts barking or the lawnmower starts going outside your window or something like that, that it's not taking over the conversation. All right, and go ahead and pop in and say hello. We totally want to hear where you're from. Give us a like, make a comment. We love you. We're here from you. Hi, Annette. Hi, Veronica. Okay, so let's get started. I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Mick Mahan. He is out of Houston, Texas, and I had the pleasure of meeting him and his lovely wife. I don't know. I think it was maybe been almost 2 years ago, and I got to learn very quickly from Mick as we would have discussions that he would bring to my awareness certain things that I was saying, certain words that I was using that may have not been benefiting me. And I was able to pick up immediately what he was trying to teach me, because I've done a lot of self-work over the years to pull myself out of the states of massive anxiety and depression and suicide ideation that I once was in. And my life was not in a good place at that point in time. It took a lot of work. That's why those of you who know me know that, while we do work with chronic diseases and Lyme disease and all of these really difficult, complex cases, that brain issues, mental health, neurodegenerative issues is my favorite thing. I want to pull everybody I can out of that rabbit hole and show them that they can heal, that there are answers and there are solutions. And one of the big things that I had to do to get, to be successful in my journey was I had to rewire my brain. And I had to learn how to think differently. And it was so hard because I was stuck in where I was with the mind racing and the thoughts. And it was so hard. But just like working out a muscle, I started working out my brain muscle, and I was able to pull myself out of that and make some changes. And there's still changes that I can still make. And so Mick was, graced me with a lot of his knowledge, and still to this day, whenever we have a conversation, he's still helping me tweak and improve upon the way that I think and the way that I communicate and the words that I use, because it's those things that were a huge part of helping me to change my life. It is a simple solution, but a very, it seems like, it's been a secret for a lot of people that they don't understand how powerful that their mindset and their words are. So welcome, Dr. Mick. I'm so glad to have you here today. I love you so much. And I think that, more now than ever, people need to hear what you have to say. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for the invite. I love being here. This is my favorite thing to do, wake people up to the power of their words, choices, and their feelings. So before we get into that, I'm just going to ask everyone, hey, we're not in any type of right and wrong. We're not in any type of religion. Okay, whatever name you have for big love and security, you use that name. Okay, I'm not here to enroll you in anything other than the idea that we've all been given a gift called co-creation. And everything that I'm going to give to you today, I base it out of the Bible, and I look at it as a universal laws. Looking at the Bible as, hey, what if it's a physics book? Okay, what if there's just laws in there for me that I can wake up to, that I can remember? So the cool thing today is we're not learning anything here. We're just in a process of remembering who we really are. And I'm basing that what? We're made in the image of God. So we live in the universe, the one speak, right? God spoke it into existence. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. So this is words become flesh. Let the weak man say, I am strong. I'm not trying to overload you here, but just take it in. There's these universal laws are everywhere. And today we're just observers. And we're just going on a little pony ride here, and we're going to observe some things and see what it wakes up inside us. And God's real clear. It says, I'm going to be justified or condemned by one thing. It's just my words. It's not my actions. No, it's what I said. Wow. So I believe language is very important, and it's also a code for what is operating. Cool. And I give the example of learn versus remember. Do you remember when you learned how to ride a bicycle? Everyone? There's someone. I never did it. Okay. So anyway, it's a good one because it's going to help you out in a lot of analogies in life. So if you haven't ridden a bicycle in 10 years, you get on a bicycle, are you going back through what you learned? No, you're going back through what you feel. It's all memory inside us. And this is the same with our love and our choices and what's going on with the planet and all these things. And the first thing I'll say about this is I also teach and speak about something called sacred body language. And it's the idea that when the body gets a signal, whether it's dis-ease or something like that, it's translatable back to our feelings and typically some judgments we made about life. It can show up in our bodies. Has everyone here loved all their experiences on the planet? Right. So raise your hand if you've loved all your experience. No, it's okay. And we can wake up to these. And love is the force that moves things. And language can tell us what's operating and what we love. And first of all, we just make that okay. Take a breath. That if you catch yourself in some of these patterns, it's okay. You picked it up along the way. It's what they gave you. Okay? Not as a victim, but hey, I picked up on what they gave me. I borrowed it. I used it. I believed in all that stuff. Okay, so as we just remembering our bicycle today, because who we really are, there's a big us inside of us. You know, and I'm coming from a standpoint, God inside me right now, not out there somewhere or in the sky. Okay, hear me inside me now, loving me just the way me is. I know the language sounds a little funny, but it's direct, and that's why I say it though. It sounds like a 3-year-old. Huh. 3-year-olds know how to express. Cool. All right, so just language. The idea is that every word I say is a prayer coming into manifestation. And my point on the COVID-19 is, what does it affect? It affects the lungs. So this is being pushed up and out because people are waking up to what? Their lungs are about what? Their inspiration. People are waking up to their big inspiration. Some of you already, right? Have you had to make some changes in how you do business lately? Right? You're waking up to what? Hey, what new thing could I author? What could I make here? Because there's a lot of questioning going on, and what questions we ask, very important. And I'm coming from the idea that God answers every single question I've ever asked. Okay? God, why does my life suck so much? Well, here's your answers. I even have memories of why my life sucks, right? So that we can ask these questions, God's going to bring us the answers. So I can make a new question is, or even a new decree. Hey, how can this be? How is this all for me, God? Can you show me? How is this for me? I know this is for me and not against me. Can you help me? Angels, help me see, hear how this is for me. And you'll start getting those answers. You guys with me on that? Is it that simple? I believe it is. What questions are we asking in the time of questioning? And we'll start getting those answers. And then what happens? We put our mustard seed of faith in it, and it starts to grow. And grace comes as we just love it and make it okay and forgive it all for what's going on right now. And, you know, who's blaming this and that? It's okay. This is for me. I don't know all the facts of how it's for me right now. I choose to know instead of I don't know. That's a big upgrade. I choose to know brings you an answer. I don't know leaves me in a state of no answer. And it's very important. It's okay if you've been complaining lately. Forgive yourself complaining. And it's very important physiologically because complaints change literally our chemistry of everything we know. It changes our chemistry of knowing. It changes our chemistry of intuition. Pituitary, right? It spits out. And what we say just determines what the pituitary is going to put out. Is it putting out the chemistry of my survival? Or is it putting out the chemistry of my thriving? And this is where language and consciousness and choice comes in and how it affects me in the body. Because anything that has happened to me in my life that I still hate, whether I'm aware or not, that can be embodied inside me and shows up as a disease or a signal, a pain, something. And these things are interpretable, and they make incredible sense to me. And and everybody here is in health. You pick it up so quick. And it just generates a question. It's never saying what is. It just generates questions for me and for you. May not be it. Rarely. Or someone just, hey, choosing not to play.
Ask you a question with us as practitioners, because we see how a person's thoughts play into this disease that you talk about. And it can be really challenging for a person to get out of that place of constant negativity. And an issue like this COVID issue can really drive someone further and deeper into that spiral, that downward spiral. How does someone begin to change their mindset and change the way they look at the situation that we're all going through?
Beautiful. Great question. Because hey, now's the time. Things come up. Things are coming up, and it's a beautiful time. And they're up. They're not up because they're wrong. They're up for resurrection. That's what they're coming up for. They're up to be touched with love, one drop, and have it transform. So my first tool when somebody's got it going, right? The machine's going and the fear's going, and everything's wrong. Everything's in judgment of right or wrong, black, white, hot, cold, negative, positive. All right, win, lose. When they get into that stuff and this codependent, they're basically basing all their inner on what's happening on the outer. So yeah, if there's codependence going on in your life, it's showing up right now. So the cool thing is we come out of that, we just get back to what I call a zero charge. Let's get back, let's just get it in neutral, which is a slowing down process. Just a little bit of me too, and I slow down as coach and say, hey, let's take a couple breaths and let's hang on to some things of what's true right now. True is what? I'm okay. And really what? Everything's going to be okay. That's what's true. And it's okay. There's some weird stuff going on right now. I don't understand it all. I choose to know. I choose to understand. And could this be for me? Just the possibility that there could be a blessing out of this changes everything. Just the possibility. Oh, okay. Though it's not like the news says. Well, you get to choose. If you believe what the news, then it's like what the news says. If it's no, true, I'm gonna hang on to my consciousness, what's true, my mustard seed of what's true. God is inside me right now. God can handle all this. This means I can handle it. I can do all things through Christ and strengthens me inside me. And this is where we are bring on our Christ self, our anointed self. Big me knows this was coming. Big me knows how to handle this. So we're just moving from into a zero charge, and that may be a little bit of work, a little bit of coaching, a little facilitation. But we can always trace it back to early on when, you know, they gave us the idea of, hey, if you're happy, I'm happy. And it sounds so nice, and it leads to death. It's a path that seems right, but leads to death. And we have these, you know, I had a codependent relationship with my wife for a long time. And, you know, wake up in the morning to determine my day based on what's going on with her. I give all my power away. People who give all their power away tend to be a little pissed off.
Yeah, we see
Everybody's
that all the
smiling.
time. Yeah. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that, about you personally. When did you see or experience this big shift for yourself, and what kind of changes did that bring on for you in your life?
I put a deep call in on my inner. I called out for real this time.
Okay, so let me back up for a minute, because you do talk on a level that's way up here, Mick.
Just slow me down.
And
okay,
we just had, yeah. And so we have to remember that, like, that statement, a lot of people, I understand what you're saying, but a lot of people are not going to understand that. So let's just make it super easy for everybody to understand.
Okay, I'll share with you then what happened. So my wife, we've had a long history of kidney failure and dialysis, and now 2 transplants. So we're in the middle of the first kidney transplant she received. She did well with it for 7 years, and then it really went south on us pretty fast. I wasn't ready for that. I'd had a nice long 7 years, almost of like, oh yeah, I remember that kidney thing. And she wanted, the idea was, okay, it's coming into rejection, and we're going to try to time a transplant before she has to go on dialysis or do any of those things. And none of that worked out. She had to go, she was in the hospital, and then she was doing dialysis. And then she was every week, Monday through Friday, she was in the hospital. They let her go home. And then we were back in there Monday. This happened 7 weeks in a row. You can still hear me about it up there. I'm still a little charged about it. And I remember I was like, wow, man, I just couldn't handle it. And I was freaking out on my inside. And I was in my office, and doctors, practitioners, you know this one, I was putting on a show. I was putting on an act for people, acting like everything's okay. And on the inside, I'm really, really thinking about leaving the planet. It's time to go. This place is too much for me. That's the thoughts I was having, and it was getting more and more intense. And I had a buddy of mine call me, and he texted me, and he said, hey, you're on my heart. How can I pray for you? And in the past, what did I do? I always said, pray for Tracy. She's the one that's sick. And I would always leave me out of it because I'm some big, strong dude, and I don't need any of that stuff. Yeah. And for the first time, it just hit me right there. I was answering the text. I'm praying for wisdom. And I know if I don't get it, I'm out of here. It wasn't not in a threat. Wasn't threatening God in any way, but I knew it. I cry out for wisdom, and 2 days later, it came in the form of consciousness, where a guy said some pretty wild things to me. I'm standing in my office. I'm high volume. My practice is full of people. I'm putting on my show, and Tracy's in the hospital. And this guy had been under care in my office for 2 weeks. He just boldly stepped to me, and he said, hey, because I'd been making a lot of jokes, and most of them sarcastic. And he said, you know, sarcasm means to tear the flesh. And he said it in a way, he wasn't making me wrong. He was, because anybody try to make me wrong in that state, oh my God, watch out. And I knew he was right. And I was like, yeah, that's true. And he goes, yeah, more than half of what you say is in the not. What? I'll explain that in a second. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? He goes, you know, it comes from the place that isn't. What? What does that mean? He goes, you know, fear, anger, pain. And I was like, oh, and I just could take a breath for a second. I said, you know how to get rid of it? And he goes, yes. Of course, that's not a concept. There's no, he was just playing along with me. Yes, I know how to get rid of it. And that started me in my journey to find out, wow, what was coming out of my mouth. And typically what is spoken in the not is a description of just what is hated. I was hating life. I was leaving it. And my language was showing that. And he could understand it. You know, and we get examples of that too. Like, hey, how's your marriage going? We're not getting a divorce. Right? You know, you can tell there's an issue there. Right? They're just describing what they hate. So they hate divorce, so they're staying married. I know that pattern. It's wrong to get a divorce, so I'll stay. We're not getting one. Instead of waking up to my divine partner, my divine choice in partner, and you know, I love my wife, I love my partnership. That's what's true. Versus, well, we're not getting a divorce. She's not dead. So what is not is spoken from the un or the unconscious. And nots are just one of the tools I use to discover areas that maybe we have some hate about. And first of all, it's not wrong to hate. Is it wrong to hate? No, it's a legitimate human feeling. It's what we do with our hate is the key. This is where we have full power and choice. So if I express my hate, I lose my power. If I bring my hate in and just take a breath for a second, it's like, okay, I'm feeling some hate on this topic. Just feel it. I hate it. And we're going to trace it back to love. Huh. Why do we hate child molesters so much? What's really true? I love children. I protect children. That's what my heart's a full yes for. And somebody that's operating that is unconscious of that right now. So very good. So when somebody's running hot, we got to slow it down for a minute, because the illusion's always going 100 miles an hour. The last thing it would ever choose is for you to slow down and take a step and take a breath and look at this and take the charge off. It's always got you running hot. Go, go, go. You got to do this, got to do that. It's an illusion. Your heart's really a no for all of it. Your heart's a yes for ease and peace and creativity and love and joy and loving what cannot be loved.
Dr. Mick, you mentioned something earlier, a phrase that really stuck out to me, and you said giving your power away. Kind of explain what that means to people listening and why that's something you don't want to do, giving your power away. How does one do that, and why should we avoid doing that?
Right, so that's what we don't want to do, is give our power. So what we would do is I keep my power. So so I use anger as a very good example. Expression of anger. Hey, you so-and-so, right? I've made a judgment on them. I've made them wrong. I reacted in my anger. And I've given, so is God operating in any of that? Is God operating in any type of anger?
No.
No. Is God going to get you? You'd have done been got. Wait, if God was going to get you, he'd have got you. He's just not in the gotcha business. Okay, so I'm operating outside of love, or I'm operating in little me. So I'm on little me power. I'm running the show. I'm trying to control. I'm trying to make another person wrong. I'm letting them know I feel angry, and maybe they should just do some action for me. They should be my slave now and make some action to make me feel different on the inner. So what do I do with my anger? I choose to feel it. I feel, okay, I'm angry about this situation. All right, cool. So anger has a two-part resurrection. And this is our biggest tools of what feelings resurrect into. Okay, so somebody who's running hot, they're not aware of any of this stuff yet. We just got to get back to zero, and then we can start tracing where some of this stuff comes from, have new memory about it, and make a new choice about it. That's a process of feeling something completely, touching it with love, and then expressing it. That's a healing. That's a resurrection.
And so something that I think about whenever you're saying this, and I'll just like use some different words, is that, and I'll use me as an example, from memories that I have, from things that happened in my life. There are certain things that in my present day, this doesn't happen to me really now, or when it, actually when it does happen, I'm more aware of it. But like, so certain things can trigger, right? So like, for those of you listening, actually, I'm going to use something that I've been working through, to kind of help you understand this concept. So back when I got sick, many years ago, I got sick very quickly. And I ended up with severe, as I mentioned earlier, severe anxiety, panic attacks, depression, suicide ideation. But I also ended up with these different neurodegenerative disease type symptoms and a lot of other physical symptoms. I mean, my body was just going downhill really, really quickly. And this all was happening right around the time of the 2008 crash. Like, it was like everything. It was like the perfect storm. Just all this stuff was happening. There were so many other things that happened too. My father committed suicide during that time, just a whole bunch of stuff. And so it was about, what was it? My team is here with me. They can help me. The time goes so fast. I think it was like a week ago. I expressed to my team, I am having anxiety. I woke up this morning and I'm having this anxiety. And I pulled in and just started thinking like, okay, where are these feelings coming from? Because it felt so familiar. Like I started feeling not just anxiety, but like little bitty glimmers of past experiences, like hopelessness, and I don't have control, and things are going down, and there's all these things that might happen, and I don't know exactly what's coming, and in all, just a combination of the same things that I experienced many years ago. And so I just sat with it for a minute. I just sat with it. And then I ended up calling one of the awesome coaches on our team, who's not here with us right now because I think she's actually busy with clients. And she helped me to find where this past memory was actually really coming from. And I thought it was from the 2008 crash, right? Because that's what I could think on a conscious level. Like, I thought it was that. But you know what it really turned out to be? It turned out to be something that happened to me when I was around 15, 16 years old. So I had the trigger way before I even realized on a conscious level that I had that trigger. And once I was able to go back and clear that memory out, and there's a lot of different methodologies and a lot of different terms. And so, Mick, forgive me if I don't use the right term, but I'm just using.
Well, I'm forgiving you.
Yeah.
I have the power to forgive you.
Yes.
Power away.
So like, I was able to clear that out and disconnect from that, which was holding me back and causing the triggers that I had last week. And immediately I was able to come back into a piece of calm, right? I was able to ground myself and know that, my higher power, whatever you, just like Mick said, whatever you want to call him, all right, or her, or it,
Yeah.
or whatever. I knew that my higher power, already has the answers, and I needed to remember to live in the now, not watch and poison myself with all of the things on television and on social media, and just step back in prayer and meditation, or whatever it is that you want to call it, right? Step back and come within myself and know that, you know what? We are so powerful, and we have control over the now. And if we just stay in the now, then that is what is going to serve us. And to have that faith, the faith of a mustard seed, or you can call it believe a little more than you don't. You can call it whatever you want, but just come back and know that, you know what, I'm going to do what I can now, so that, because I understand that the thoughts and the choices I make right now in this second will have a consequence in the future. And a consequence can be like a good thing, or it can be like a bad thing. And so I'm focused on the now, so that when I get to tomorrow and I get to the next day and I start experiencing the after effects of my thoughts and my actions, that it's going to be going in a positive direction. And so I feel like, what Mick is saying is that, what Mick is saying, brought that to mind. And I just wanted to use that as a personal experience to show you how I was dealing with my anxiety when I started having it. Because when it came, it was bad. Like, I was feeling it. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, where did this come from? I've done way too much work to have this come back and affect me. And so, and I knew right away also just to reach out and ask for some help, so that I could, figure out how to address that. Mick has the training to know how to do that. While I'm aware of it, I don't have the training necessarily to always be able to do that on my own, right? I'm very focused in other parts of helping people. But Mick, thank you for that example, because that's so powerful. And if people can really get a grasp on that, I think that going through this, they can really see it as a blessing and a time to regroup and reprioritize where they are in their lives and what's important in their lives, and learn how to live more in the present moment. Because I feel like, so many people, more than not, have gotten stuck living in their past or living in their future, and not really living in the present moment. And that's created a big situation of where we are today.
Beautiful. Nicely said. And remember, anxiety is code for fear. That's what that stuff means. So fear resurrects to faith. And what you did was you went through a process. You sat down. You got back into neutral. Nice. And just made it okay that you're having that experience, and your peace returns. So, fear is like the default state. It's when we don't speak what we really choose, fear's what happens. And so it resurrects into our mustard seed of faith, just by touching it with love, saying, hey, I got some fear going on. That's okay. Thank you, fear. You help me remember my big whopping ass mustard seed of, kidding.
Yeah.
You help me remember my big mustard seed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all that it takes. It's cool. You got some fear. Why? Why do you have fear?
I feel like being uncomfortable, if you're living in the moment, if you feel uncomfortable, that is, the universe's way of showing you what step to take next. Kind of like if you put your finger on the fire, if you put your finger on the stove by accident, okay, and obviously if it's a gas stove, you're going to notice that the fire's on, but like I've got an electric stove, can't always tell if it's hot. If you put your finger on it, that discomfort tells you what to do next, so that you can go in the right direction. And the right direction is to pull your finger away from the heat. And so it's the same thing. Like, when you have that fear, you have the anxiety, you have the doubt, instead of being afraid of the feeling, sit with it and ask yourself, what is this showing me that I need to do next? Because your heart and your subconscious and your innate, it knows what to do. That's God inside you. You know, it's telling you what to do, right? If you'll just sit with it and don't be so afraid to sit down and embrace the feeling. You know, we're always taught to bury it, shove it away, get busier with work so we don't have to think about it. And here, that's the universe trying to say, hey, or God trying to say, hey, I'm trying to talk to you, but you're not listening to it. You're just like burying it with your work, or you're burying it, you know, you're just trying not to think about it. Isn't that right, Mick?
Yes. It's just all, it's a game. Yeah. Yep. Raise your hand if you were raised by two conscious, loving parents who chose you, invited you in, and were there every step of the way and taught you what your feelings really mean and what they turn into for you. Raise your hand. Me neither. So, well, you know, everything that I've judged as weakness in my life, I've found 100% be true is my greatest strengths. All of it. So, and my parents are a perfect example. When my coach asked me about my dad, he's like, tell me about your dad. I'm like, he was an alcoholic and he died when I was 11. Okay. He goes, was your dad ever emotionally available for you? I was like, no, I can't think of one time. He's like, okay, cool. How many kids do you have? I'm like, 4. He's like, cool. Did you leave your family? No, I stayed in my family. Cool. Are you an alcoholic? No. I don't want to say sober because I have a beer every now and then. And so I'm not an alcoholic. He's like, cool. So is it possible you learned all that from your dad? Huh. That's exactly what happened. So I hang on to what's true. My father taught me the best way he knew how. And the best way he knew how was by showing me what not to do. I can forgive that. That's a game changer for me. He was just operating where he was in life, not who he was. And he's my lineage. I'm half my father. So anything I make wrong about him, I make wrong about me. Yikes. I know. It's okay. I was a little weird when I heard that too. So, you know, my dad had given me all this wonderful gifts, and I may be the first person in my lineage to wake up and say, hey, we can have all our dreams. We can. I can have all my dreams. I forgive you all the lineage that said we couldn't. I forgive the lineage of addiction. Brings me to my sober, my clarity.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I feel
that's
like
the tool. That's a resurrection.
Yeah, feeling or changing our perspectives, you know, changing the way that we see things can completely change our life inside and out. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I'm wondering, what do you want to do? All of you listening.
I volunteer to facilitate anyone that chooses to be facilitated.
Yeah. Do you guys want to run through an actual like facilitation process? Maybe somebody has something that, you know, he can kind of, you know, like help you to work through it. We could do that, or we could just, you know, keep it go in a different direction, and we can just do some Q&A on some stuff. But I felt like this was a really important topic. We've been talking about a lot of stuff lately, like medical stuff and supplements and the science behind it, and taking care of your immune system and modulating stress. But this is a part of modulating stress and changing your life in a really, really big way. And I wanted to offer some support. And so, please continue to give us your feedback. We're wanting to hit all the bases here, and all of us here on the Modern Holistic Health team, we all felt like this was important to bring this to you. And again, Mick talks at a very high level, but it's about changing our perspective and understanding, how we can pull ourselves out of the rut by, changing our words and understanding how our past experiences and then our current thoughts can actually affect us in a very negative way. So if you guys want, if somebody wants to, if you guys want to hang out during a facilitation process, raise your hand. Or actually, do we have a hand to raise down here? No, there's not a hand to raise. Can you guys go into the chat and say if you guys want to do that?
I see a yes, please, from Veronica.
From Veronica. So Veronica, before we choose you, can I chat a little bit about you? And we don't have to do that, but if you're going to do some facilitation, that would be really great. Okay.
It's better if you don't.
It's better if I don't. Okay, well then let's don't. I'll just say that I'm really glad that Veronica's doing this. And that's all I'm gonna say. So let's go through the process together then.
Cool. Let me give a brief explanation of what facilitation. The word just simply means to make difficult things easy. So, hello, Veronica. Do I have your permission to facilitate you on whatever topic you choose?
Yes.
Cool. And do I have your permission to see perfection?
Yes.
Nice. Cool.
There's a little background. Hold on. There's a little background music, Veronica. Is there any way for you to turn that off?
Yes. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Love music.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries.
It's okay. And I'll be real specifically with you. Do you have video, Veronica?
Yes.
You choose to turn it on?
No, there it is.
Hey, all right, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask that your yes be yes and your no be no. This is very important.
Okay.
Cool. Who said that? Let your yes be yes and your no be no.
It was in the Bible.
Yes. Cool. And what do you say after that?
I don't remember.
If you're in the middle, I spit you out.
Okay.
So, but what he's saying is it's kind of like, will you marry me? And somebody goes, uh-huh. It's just not gonna work.
All right.
You going to the party? I'm gonna try. No.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Yeah. Cool. All right. So what's going on?
Well, I've been dealing with anxiety, kind of like Dr. Villanueva was talking about, like serious to the point where about 6 years ago, I think it hit me again, because it actually started like 23 years ago, that I can remember that it was bad to where it was debilitating. And then 6 years ago, it came back again. I went through a divorce, I got laid off, and then all of a sudden it just hit me like a year after my divorce, and I couldn't get myself to leave my house, not even to go outside to the mailbox. And then I tried doing, little things here and there, and I tried a therapist, and I was like, and she did try to get me to go back to like when I was little, and I'm like, I don't even know what this matters. Like, this doesn't even matter. And I just kind of wasn't really, into it, and I guess in a sense, and I was like, this is a waste of time. I'm not even gonna keep doing this. And then I slowly, like now I can drive to work, which is like 3 minutes. Well, I don't drive. Someone drives me to work, like 3 minutes away and back. And that's it. Like just down the street, back home, down the street, back home. That's as far as I go. One of my friends is like, I'm going to try to get you to go somewhere else, a restaurant, something. And on my birthday, on February 13th, they tried to get me to go get my driver's license renewed. It was like the worst. I literally went maybe 2 miles and I freaked out and I just started bawling. And I'm like, I can't, take me back home. And she was like, no, you'll be okay. Just look at the grass, look at something else, distract yourself. I'm like, no, like I just felt like I was going to have this panic attack and I was going to be stuck somewhere again. because that's what happened to me 6 years ago. I was driving home and I had a panic attack, and I pulled over at the emergency room, but I couldn't get myself to go in the emergency room, but I couldn't get myself to leave. So I was there for like 3 hours until a friend of mine came and picked me up. So it was, oh my God, I don't even want to cry. It was really emotional for me, and that kept bringing back that feeling, and I'm like, I don't want to do that again.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's
All right.
where I'm at right now.
And how old are you when this first happened? Do you remember it?
When I first had anxiety, I was 19. I had twin girls. It was an emergency C-section. I was 27 weeks pregnant. But of course, everybody kept saying it was postpartum stuff, and nobody ever told me it was anxiety until like a year later. However, when I was dealing with this therapist, she was asking me questions of my childhood, like when I was born and conceived. And so I had called my mom, and my mom didn't want to tell me very much. But my sister, my older sister, told me she remembers me being that way when I was little, because our mom would leave us a lot. And she said I would cry and I didn't want to be, left behind. And when my older sister, who's 5 years older than me, would try to spend the night with her friends, I would cry until she came back home.
Cool. So you've got early memories of being abandoned?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yes, definitely.
And have you been expressing any other symptoms in your body or diagnosis or anything like that?
Yes, all at the same time, I started having gastrointestinal issues. And that same year, I ended up having gallbladder stones and getting my gallbladder removed. And then I started having issues with eating certain foods. And ever since then, it's just like, I feel like everything's been happening. I have muscle aches here and there. My diet is very limited now because everything will eventually, give me stomach upset, even lettuce at times. So it's just been a lot of changes since then.
Okay. Do you, was your dad around?
No, very little. I do have little memories of my dad. It's funny when you mentioned about your dad being an alcoholic and he passed away when you were 11. My dad died when I was 11. And the memory that I have of him was when I was little. I don't remember how old I was, but he came to see me and he gave me his beer to take a drink out of his beer. Like, I remember that. That's all I really remember about my dad.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my uncle. Everybody's got to have an uncle that does that, not a dad.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Okay, so I'm just painting a picture here. And why was your mom gone all the time?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out.
Well, was she working? Was she partying? What was she doing?
I think both.
Okay.
I remember she would go out with her friends a lot, and then like the other times, also when I was a child, I had a heart condition, and so I remember my sister having to take care of me, and then she would find my mom somehow. I don't remember how, but she would like call her friends and eventually get a hold of my mom somewhere. So I don't really know where she was a lot of the time. I just know she wasn't there. But we lived with my grandma and my grandma's brother, and they were like the ones who made sure we had food and ate, and because we didn't have food very much when we were little. So I don't really know what my mom was doing.
Okay. All right. What was she being the mother that you required her to be?
No.
No.
She was verbally and physically abusive when we were kids.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are you that way with your kids?
No.
Okay. You might know where I'm going with that one.
Yeah. And I wrote that down when you said it about your dad. I said, my mom showed me what not to do with my kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I left out some of the part that what I did, because my parents modeled for me, love is hard, marriage is hard. And so I had all, love and marriage, I had that stuff all hooked up with hard
Right.
or painful. And so what I did with a lot of the actions I took are what they didn't do. There's a little bit I'll show you mothers,
Right.
literally. Okay. There's a little bit of that going on. So I was doing different than what they did, but I wasn't really choosing what I really choose. That's called, so I was doing it because I hated the way they did it. That's called working in vain.
Right.
Okay. And it's okay. The pain of working in vain wakes me up to my real choice. And you've already seen one thing. So are you there for your kids?
I thought I was. However, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was going through a difficult time and I was crying. And my oldest son, who is now 26, he came up to me and he asked me if I was okay. And for some reason, I have it stuck in my head. I don't like for people to see me cry. Like it's like a sign of weakness. And I think it has to do from when I was little, because I kind of remember that where they would always make me feel like I was a crybaby or something,
Yeah. Well, if you cried, you got in trouble for it?
Yes. Yeah. And so when he saw me, I tried to hide it. And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then he opened his arms to me, like, come here and give me a hug. And I said, what do you want? And I felt weird. And I thought, okay, why am I feeling? So when he went to hug me, I just hugged him and I was going to let go really quickly, like okay, thank you, and walk off. And he just held me there. And I thought, why does this feel weird? And then I realized that, one of the things my mom did with us, she was never emotional with us, but she always I remember her saying, like, for my kids have to respect me, they have to fear me to respect me. I always remember her saying those things. And then I started thinking, that's what I did with my kids without the physical and the verbal abuse, but I still kind of kept them at a distance emotionally.
The pattern remains.
Right.
It's okay, because we're just doing it in the knot. We're doing it in the vein. We're not doing what we really choose. And so, or anything we hate that we haven't touched with love yet is staying. And it's going to get bigger and bigger until we wake up to it. And I'm going to come from this perspective. So I believe that I existed before I got here. Christ said he knew me before he formed me in the womb. That's what I stand on, to know I existed before this place. And the big me, the one who's made in the image, I believe I chose my parents. And the bigger the signal we choose, the faster track we're on. And then what's the track? The track is to forgiveness. And what were your mom's parents like?
Well, my mom, I have a weird history. So my mom's real mother was my grandmother's niece, and she had her when she was 16.
I'm gonna have to think about that later.
I know it's weird. So I guess my sister and I were talking about this last night, but my sister said when my mom was 3 days old, her real mom gave her to her aunt to raise. So who we knew as our grandmother, was in our family, but wasn't, my mother's real mom. But I do remember my mother's real mom in the picture, like when we were teenagers. I remember her coming around, and I remember her. She was a really mean person. I do remember that. She was very angry and always mean when she came around. I don't even know if she's still alive, but that's all that I know. And
Okay.
I was kind of touching on that with my sister, thinking, you know, without my mom realizing, I think she also had those abandonment issues that she kind of portrayed on us, you know, without even putting, you know, without realizing what she was doing.
And if I go back to grandma, it's the same pattern.
Right.
This may have been going on for thousands of years. I know. What?
Oh,
What's
wow.
this got to do with me? This is my lineage. You could be up. This is your time now to raise this. And forgiving it all in the lineage
Right.
of an illusion that the mothers don't want their children.
Right.
Okay. And is it possible your mom didn't know what to do with you?
Yeah.
Is it possible she was operating in a very narrow field, doing the best that she possibly could for you?
Yep. That's true.
And was it enough for you? No.
No.
I
Yeah.
don't answer for you, but no.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool. And we just feel that. My mom did not love me the way I required to be loved.
Yeah.
It's true. Is that really what she chooses?
I don't believe it is.
No. No mother. There is no mother like that. They've only chosen because they're operating an illusion. They think this is the best it could be. Like, my kid's got to fear me. This is survival stuff.
Right.
Come down the pipe. Since Adam and Eve chose survival, they chose right and wrong. And when we choose right and wrong, it's a heavy deal. So you can look at that and say, okay, that experience is against me. Or what does this turn into for me? And it's okay. Say, hey, I brought some of these patterns to my kids. And I can raise them right now inside me. Because when we do this in ourselves, it raises automatically in our children. This is power of the sperm and egg. When they commit, and trust me, you were conceived in pure love. Even if it was just for a minute. Okay? You can't get in the planet any other way. It's your ticket in. There had to be love. There had to be love present. A drop for a minute. And that's who we are. That's how we get in. And when we come in, we're here to experience all these things for the purpose of loving them and forgiving them and raising them and making new choice to what we really choose. And God promised me that he'd give me the desires of my heart. So he must know the desires of my heart, and I believe they're pre-agreed on. Hey, Mahan, you're going to be born in this family. It's a little bit crazy, okay? The dad's an alcoholic, the mom's a genius, but she's got love and heart hooked up. You're going to be here to experience that fully, all the pain of that, for the purpose of raising it. Maybe we all really do go through a cross process, and it's through our feeling world. And Christ felt it all. He didn't complain. Hey, Crown of Thorns, you want painkillers? No, I'm good. And didn't say anything, and then had the consciousness to say, forgive them, Father, for they know not
what they do.
There's a clue there. They know the not. They're operating in hate. It's okay. I forgive them. And we have this power inside us to forgive what cannot be forgiven. So we choose to understand. When I understand my mom and dad, I forgive them. And plus, it's very important for me to see them as children. I imagine my parents as children and someone doing the same thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that made it a lot easier for me to forgive them. And it's okay. Yeah, I had twins when I was 19. I chose it because that's how I do. And I love my children. I wake up to my big love, my big mother inside me.
No, you need the whole thing.
And it's okay. I grew up in a house where I didn't know what was going to happen from day to day, maybe. Have you had the rug pulled out from under you a few times?
Yes.
Yeah. Life's little surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. And that's, you created fear because that's no one told you how to love. And that's anxiety. It's fear. It's okay. Why do I have fear? Well, I have my experience. And now this fear is no longer required. I can wake up to my mustard seed of faith. I can have my life the way I love it. And if I'm only going to go 2 miles from my house, I'm only going 2 miles from my house. Okay? You could do more, but make all that okay. Hey, I've had this experience and I'm waking up to it. I'm observing it now. I wake up to these patterns. And that wakes you up to your big loving mother, and you give that to yourself on your inner first. It's okay, Mom. It's okay, Dad. I know you weren't around. And I can have my divine partner. Are you married, Veronica?
No.
You can have your dream man or whatever. My mom and dad didn't know how to partner. And I forgive myself for hating my experience. It's okay, you hated it. And I jumped ahead. Did you hate it? And I know we're running a little bit of time here. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what's new and different for you now? You have your love for your kids inside you. You've given yourself your mother's love. And now you're talking to your kids sometime in the future. What are they saying to you, Veronica?
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. We're going to use our imagination here. This is where our heart speaks.
They're thanking me for changing the pattern.
Okay, to be more specific, how'd you change the pattern?
By opening up to them, by helping them understand where we came from, I guess, in a sense.
Yes.
Where our actions came from.
Cool. What else are they saying? They're saying thank you, Mom.
Yes, they're saying thank you for giving them the freedom to also open up and share, and not being afraid to share their feelings. And
that's about them. That's cool. That's a nice thing to hear. Okay, that's beautiful. What else are they saying to you? They're just saying something to you simple. What are they saying?
That they love me.
Yes. How you feel about that?
It makes me want to cry.
Good. Wet the sponge.
Yeah.
Good. And what and so they're feeling your love. What are you feeling back from them? All right, so you're feeling their love. What do they know about you? How are they able to give you their love? What do they feel inside them?
They feel respect for me.
For you, but I'm talking about what do they feel from you?
Oh, they feel love for me too.
Oh, ding ding. So beautiful. So that's a beautiful decree for you. Say, I have my children's love, and my children have my love. Big one.
Have my children's love.
And you feel, don't say anything I say just to say it.
Yeah. It's
words that are spoken, and feeling are the ones that move, create miracles in front of your face.
This is awesome.
Yes. It's just the power of you. You're just remembering who you are. I'm forgiving my experiences. I'm here to experience it. I may have chose this. And I can wake up to this pattern. My children are fully loved and desired, and they know it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just you saying that, and they're going to wake up to some new love about you. You watch, you be on the lookout for a miracle.
Thank you.
Somebody's going to say something to you along these lines. It's going to be awesome.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. And if you choose to do a little bit more with me, you're welcome to call me or talk to me.
Yes, you're all welcome to reach out. We'll make sure that that we pop his contact information into the chat box. I have a longtime friend and client of mine, Sharon, who made a really beautiful message in the chat. She says, thank you for your help relating to your experience with your parents' lessons that we learned from them. Forgiveness is monumental in healing my body. And she's been working on emotional as well as physical practices. Thank you for your support and help for all of us. How can I set up a private session? I have
awesome.
to leave the meeting now. Grateful for these sessions. We love you, Sharon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I've been, we've been together for a long time, and Sharon is just an amazing soul, and she's had so much growth and so much healing that has occurred over the last, 4 years, Sharon? But it looks like this could be another opportunity for her to, to go to the next phase in her healing. So how can people reach you, Mick?
You can go to my website, which is www. Do you say that part? It's on the interweb. You're like, hey, this is a internet savvy group. Dr. Mick at myhighestchoice.com or www.myhighestchoice.com.
There we go. I got it. Dr. Mick at myhighestchoice.com.
Yes, beautiful.
Right.
Thank you. And you can even call, my cell is 281-813-2519.
There you go.
And you
Got
can
it.
book direct on my website too. I got all that fancy stuff.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. And Veronica, you're such a doll.
Yes.
And
Nice.
I love Veronica very much. And I got a chance. We started chatting, the two of us, a couple of years ago, and we had a lot of similar experiences as a single mom. So my heart has always been connected to you, Veronica. So okay, well, I think that you guys got a little bit of an experience of how you can walk through these things, identify the negative pattern or belief, and then once you can identify that, then you got all the power over it, right? You just got to figure out what it is, and then and then you can rewrite that pattern or belief in a way that's going to serve you and be a blessing to you. So you don't always have to be held back by these things, but again, try to figure out what it is. Sometimes can be elusive for us if we don't have that kind of training, or we don't have somebody like a coach to help walk us through that, to help identify that. And so thanks for joining us today. We love you guys. Please stay in touch with us on Crusaders for Health. Debbie, Kitty, Annette, Sally, Pam, Gloria, Jessica, Tracy Johnson, Carol, Lauren. There's so many of you here today. Thank you so much. And we've got a special treat on Friday. I believe, Anne, it's Dr. Tom, right? So Dr. Tom O'Brien, he's authored many, many books. He is one of my mentors. He has written The Autoimmune Fix, different books on brain health. He's known around the world, and he is, I would say, he's one of the top practitioners in functional medicine. He's also on staff at, I believe, at the Institute for Functional Medicine too. Yeah, the guy is just amazing. And I reached out to him and said, hey, Tom, you know, this is what I'm doing, and we're wanting to be of service to everybody, and just, you know, have everybody come together in their living room or wherever they are every day. I mean, twice a week, and hang out with us, and let's like share some stuff that, you know, that we can share to help enrich their lives and help them through this time. And he said, okay, I'll do it. I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. So he's going to be joining us. He'll be out of the country, so I don't know where he is exactly right now. So I don't know if he'll be in a different time zone, but definitely tune in on Friday. If you know of Dr. Tom O'Brien, you do not want to miss this. If you don't know of Tom O'Brien, you need to go online and you need to look this guy up. He's absolutely amazing. He's really pioneered the field of functional medicine when it comes to working with autoimmune diseases and stuff. The guy's absolutely a genius. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Great
Bye.
group. Thank you.